Coming up, the mini Hackney Community Service Center celebrates Juneteenth.
A mild morning, comparatively speaking, when it comes to temperatures. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And this weekend sees the kickoff of the Miami Pride event.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories and much more in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Wait, let's first make fun of me. My vocal cords believing that since it's a federal holiday, they
Wanted to take a break as well.
Yes, they believe that they are allowed to do that as well. For those of you celebrating Juneteenth, I hope you do get to enjoy your day with friends and family. I know we have a number of celebrations spread throughout the 4 states, and please, if you've never been involved with a Juneteenth celebration before, seek one out, because it is a piece of American history, and also too it is a wonderful celebration to take part in. Our daily almanac for this June the 20th would put our average high at 87, but more importantly, I want to concentrate on our lows, because while the average low is 67, especially on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri, we're able to drop considerably below that. Look at 60 in Monette, all the way down to 58 in Cassville. Some welcome relief of the heat wave that we had last week when we were waking up, already sitting in the mid 70s. Let's roll 64 in Pittsburgh, 72 in Chanute, where it's a little bit warmer throughout southeast Kansas. But even with that being said, no watches, warnings, no heat advisories to put up with, as we see the heat bubble work its way from Texas right through the middle of the contiguous 48. But once again, since we're squarely in the middle of it, if you get off on that eastern edge, it's actually not too bad right now. For our weather trend on this Monday, we're going to work up. We will be in the 90s, so it's not going to kid each other. We're not going to be able to escape that. And then as we work into future track, we got some spotty rain showers that want to pop up this week. We'll keep those at arm's length here for the next couple of days. It's going to be hot and dry today. But then as we work into Tuesday and Wednesday, we start to see a little Gulf moisture begin to kick in, and once it does, like I said, it's spotty for the most part. It's not widespread, but also too, it helps us a little bit temperature-wise, comparatively speaking, to where we were at this point in time last week. Got to remember, last week we were just setting records back and forth, back and forth. So even while we cruise into the 90s, that Gulf moisture kind of keeps us in the mid-90s before we get to Friday and Saturday. Hang on Friday and Saturday. That 97, 98 that are legitimate temperatures, not heat index, those are legitimate temperatures.
Ooh.
We're gonna find some hundreds. We're gonna find some triple digits out there to the west and to the south.
That's gonna hurt.
You won't feel that.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. All right, well, it's pretty nice out there right now. When I was coming in, it said 65 degrees in my car. I'm not gonna complain about that.
You walk out right now, especially if you went to bed and you had the air conditioner on, you're gonna walk outside, you're not gonna feel much of a difference.
Yeah.
You walk out, you go, this isn't too bad at all.
I didn't even turn my AC on in the car. I usually have to have it on.
Oh no, I meant in the house, like in the house.
True.
No, in the car, you're not gonna need it this morning.
All right, thanks, Michael. The Sarcoxie, Missouri Police Department is asking for help finding the people who stole tractor implements. Authorities say the items worth more than $35,000 were found over the weekend on some abandoned railroad tracks between County Road 67 and North Moist Street in Reeds, Missouri. Police believe the thieves were using them to clear a path down the tracks for easier access. And starting this week, drivers in Neosho should watch for contractor crews making sidewalk improvements and working close to traffic along Route 8 to HH. Improvements include making sidewalks, curb ramps, and pedestrian areas conform to Americans with Disabilities Act requirements along Route HH between South Street and Chartel Road. Missouri Governor Mike Parson signs legislation giving college coaches and university employees in Missouri a more active role in endorsement opportunities for their athletes. Under the new law, university employees may identify or otherwise assist with opportunities for a student athlete to earn compensation from a third party for the use of the student athlete's name, image, and likeness rights or athletic reputation. The new law goes into effect August 28th. Kansas governor and lieutenant governor were in Montgomery County on Friday for a groundbreaking ceremony that could be a big boost for the area economy. That ceremony marked the beginning of work on a new $375 million soybean crushing facility. Bartlett Agri Enterprises will operate the facility located near Cherryvale. Also in Montgomery County, Governor Kelly took a tour of a brewery and attended the grand opening of the Office of Rural Prosperity in Independence. Mini Hackney Community Service Center is celebrating its inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. They held what they called a living history event where different people portrayed historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Salone Yates, and others.
It really makes me understand how far we have come, but also still how far we still need to go. You know, some of the things that Ida B. Wells, for instance, stood for, we still deal with today.
Juneteenth was first celebrated in 1866 and became a federal holiday in 2021. Jalen Banks will have more on the celebration later in the show. Crowder College on Friday announces a partnership between a local business and high school. The college is working with Cooper Gear and Manufacturing out of Anderson, Missouri for an apprenticeship program. Cooper Gear and McDonald County High School have already have an apprenticeship program in place, and now those students will be able to continue that hands-on learning experience and development of skills while in college at Crowder.
And by partnering with Crowder, they satisfy all of my apprenticeship classroom hour needs. In addition, those hours can count toward a degree, as well as they come out with a certified CAD certificate.
Both Cooper Gear and Crowder College are registered Department of Labor apprenticeship programs. Cooper Gear has been registered since 2017 and Crowder College since 2015. Miami Pride Fest kicks off at Riverview Park over the weekend with 50 vendors, live music, food trucks, and bounce houses. The grand marshal of the event was this year's 2022 Miss Gay Oklahoma America. She led the march around the park to symbolize unity and support.
It's the perfect time for us to really just celebrate who we are, and especially being boxed in such a small town, it gives everybody an opportunity to do what they love and be who they love to be.
If you want to learn more about the Miami NEOK Pride, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, some Joplin area people got the chance to tour a mausoleum over the weekend. Historic Murfreesburg Preservation partnered with the Webb City Historic Preservation Commission to provide the tours. Visitors had the opportunity to hear directly from the spirits of early 20th century Joplin and Webb City influencers. The tour also included theatrical vignettes, historical reenactors, musical entertainment, and refreshments.
I grew up in Murfreesburg, and my great-grandmother's house is over there. And so I've been doing this since it first started. So to help people learn and understand what it means to preserve our history.
If you want to learn more about the history of Mount Hope Cemetery, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, Lincoln Park in Pittsburgh was a little more crowded on Friday because of a petting zoo event. Pittsburgh Public Library hosted the event as part of its Oceans of Possibilities summer reading program. It featured animals like kangaroos, alpacas, camels, and iguanas.
Well, the children seem to like the animals, and most of what I use is, I use animals that's been used before, so they're used to it.
The event was free and open to the public. To see what other fun events are happening in our area, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/events.
Tanya, one of the things over the weekend that I found frustrating is when everybody was talking, nationally speaking, they were talking about the heat dome, and we're well aware of it. And they were talking about the heat dome this week shifting to the east. That's too deceiving for those of us that are starting out with it, because instead of this moving just like this, think about it, it's expanding is what it is. It's not going to take that column and move east. It's actually going to expand out to the east, and that's why we're not going to be able to get out of it. So if you're watching a national weather over the weekend, they talked about, oh, the heat dome's going to shift east, it's going to affect millions of people. No, it's not, folks. It's going to expand. And right here in the 4 states, it's not going to leave us alone as we're going to ride the 90s all the way to the weekend.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Royals aim for their 4th straight win. We'll show you if they manage to do it or not. Plus, a Red Robin worker gets fired for allegedly putting edibles in customers' food. And did you know that eating fish can help reduce your risk of Alzheimer's? We'll show you how. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
The Midwest Mustangs playing for the Pittsburgh State Tournament Championship after winning 9-1 on Saturday to earn a spot in the title game. They were facing the Topeka Scrappers. The Scrappers won this thing 8-5. Mario Mangini did collect 3 hits in the game for the Midwest Mustangs. Joplin Outlaws at home once again taking on the North Division leader St. Joe Outlaws, winning 4-1. Garrett Chun with 3 RBIs. Liam Bailey, that's my boy, a shortstop, picked up 3 hits and 2 runs. Take that, Tim Ariston and Will York. I think you guys owe me a quarter on that one. Ethan Sally tossing 5 scoreless innings and allowing 1 hit. He also struck out 3. St. Louis Cardinals in the middle of a 3-game series with the Boston Red Sox. This series, the only time these two teams will meet this season. Even at 1 game apiece headed into yesterday's series finale, Harrison Bader ties things up at 1 with a base hit to the left side. Tyler O'Neill scores. Bader slides in safely to second. Let's skip ahead to the 8th, where it's 3-1 Red Sox. Christian Vasquez, get up and get you some over the monster. 3-run shot makes it 6-1. Things looking good for Boston until Juan Yepez. He's got 2 on. Homer in the 9th for Yepez, trying to keep the Cardinals alive. But the Red Sox bullpen, despite having a terrible weekend, Red Sox bullpen was a disaster this weekend. Boston hangs on and wins at 6-4. Royals aiming for their 4th straight win in the final game against Oakland. KC down by 1 until Seth Brown drops one in the center. Here comes Tony Kemp. Hope! All right, he didn't blow a stop sign. They say Salvi missed him on they challenged him. Tony Kemp can fly now. Oh, looked like he got him on the back. Oh, call was overturned, my bad. Remain 1-0. I was watching the umpire's initial reaction there. Top 6, same score, 2 outs, bases loaded for the Royals. Michael Taylor strikes out swinging, A's get out of the jam, and then the bottom half, Sean Murphy, 3-run home run for Oakland as they take game 3, 4-0. This year's Men's College World Series has been all about unranked teams. Oklahoma Sooners, they happen to be one of those unranked teams, took down 5th-ranked Texas A&M on the opening game on Friday. And in the winner's bracket, they keep it rolling last night. Sooners beat Notre Dame 6-2. Tanner Treadaway, he went 3 for 4 at the plate, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Get this, since the NCAA tournament started, Treadaway is 18 for 37 at the plate. That's ridiculous. Oklahoma doesn't have to play again until Wednesday, and they find themselves just 1 win away from the College World Series Finals. Matt Fitzpatrick is now a major champion as he won the U.S. Open yesterday on Father's Day, his first career major title, his very first win on the PGA Tour. An exciting finish at the Country Club in Boston as Fitzpatrick beat Will Zalatoris and Scotty Scheffler by 1 stroke, including dropping a 48-foot putt on the 13th hole. Fitzpatrick shot a 2-under par, finished the tournament at 6 under overall. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the Indian state of Assam experiencing heavy flooding, and a check on our 7-day hot and dry forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. A little bit past 5:17. Once again, I want to apologize for the vocal cords for today. Our current conditions over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin sitting at 64 degrees. The nice thing is that humidity is really going to continue to drop today. Humidity is not really going to play a large factor. And we've got some mild temperatures as low as 58 degrees down to the southeast in Cassville. A little bit warmer, about a 15-degree difference there as you work into the western portions of southeast Kansas, where it's 72 in both Chanute and Neodesha. Miami at 68 in Nevada right now. at 67. Not a cloud in the sky on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, and really throughout the majority of the United States, we keep those heat advisories and heat warnings indicated in the orange and the pink way to the north of us. Now that does not mean we're out of the fray this week. No, we're going to ride the 90s all the way through. We'll go low 90s today, mid 90s middle of the week, and finish off in the high 90s. That's when we'll be challenging some late June records there on Friday and Saturday. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Insta Poll on our KOAM News Now Facebook page. There's a hamburger franchise in North Carolina that fired an employee after he was accused of putting possible drug-laced treats in to-go bags. Several customers reported finding what appeared to be marijuana edibles in their orders at a Red Robin in Charlotte. Anthony Costura investigates.
Well, we did curbside.
This woman doesn't want to show her face, but she says when she ordered from this Red Robin along Kenbrook Drive in University City Wednesday night, she and her daughter got an unwelcome surprise in their to-go bag.
And I said, "Oh, I didn't know that you ordered a dessert or something." And she said, "I didn't."
She says they got this. You can see it resembles a Rice Krispie treat, along with the card promoting Kel's Sweet Treats, the incredible edibles.
It was a shock also to realize that a person was that bold to give their card, put their face out there.
The treat is similar to what a Channel 9 employee says he also received from the same location on the same day. Another viewer sent us this photo saying she got this gummy candy with that same business card, also from Wednesday. The Twitter account listed on the business card was taken down after our story last night, but video showed what's described as infused Sour Patch Kids. It's all very concerning for this once regular customer.
I'm just concerned for children that may get it, especially.
She believes the man pictured on the card is the same man who brought her order to her car. It's not clear whether any of the treats actually contain drugs. In the meantime, though, the woman is warning everyone to be vigilant about their food.
Check that there's nothing additional in there that you didn't order, for sure.
After the incident, the county health department visited the restaurant for an inspection, and during the walkthrough, health inspectors did not find any items from any unapproved sources. Our question for you this morning is, do you support the legalization of marijuana? Our incomparable producer, Tim Aronson, wanted me to drop a little Cypress Hill and remind everybody that they say forward motion make you sway like the ocean. I was like, okay, Tim, I'll make sure I get that on. You can go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We'll be back with Health Watch next.
Tapping Health Watch this morning, 2 more states reported their first cases of monkeypox, Indiana and Missouri. CDC reports 113 monkeypox cases have been confirmed in 21 U.S. states and territories as of Friday. Missouri Department of Health officials say their state's first case is a Kansas City resident who had recently traveled out of state. Indiana's Department of Health is not releasing the location of their monkeypox patient, who is currently in isolation. Monkeypox is a rare but potentially serious viral illness that is spread in skin-to-skin contact with bodily fluids. Most cases, 75% or more, are from people who think they may have been exposed during international travel. U.S. has ordered more than 300,000 additional doses of the vaccine for monkeypox, and there are more ready for order if needed. A new study suggests an eye test can foresee heart attacks years before they occur. Researchers from a university in Scotland say a simple eye test can help predict heart attacks more than 5 years before they happen. Analysts created a personalized forecast model from volunteers who had a heart attack. The test studies different abnormal patterns of blood vessels in the retina, which are a sign of coronary artery illness, and that's according to the analysts. They say their test can spot other life-threatening diseases like a stroke and high blood pressure. A new study says a type of compound found in 2 kinds of fish can help you reduce Alzheimer's risk. Scientists at the Fatty Acid Research Institute say tuna and salmon contain a type of omega-3 fatty acid, the DHA, that helps people reduce the chances of getting Alzheimer's disease. Researchers analyzed almost 1,500 people 65 or older and found those people getting omega-3 DHA were 49% less likely to develop Alzheimer's and will live 4.7 years without it. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. Coming up, the Mini Hackney Community Service Center celebrates Juneteenth.
Live look over 7th range line. Oh, we're going to struggle through this one together, folks. And we're going to make fun of you in the process. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And this weekend sees the kickoff of the Miami Pride event.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. First, let's head on over to the hacking. Michael Hasler.
Remember, you can't make fun of anybody if you don't make fun of yourself. And I started out the show by saying that evidently my vocal cords were deciding that it being a federal holidays, they were taking the day off. I promise, like physically I feel fine. I just, sound like death warmed over. I will say that the last response I got was a bit gravelly this morning.
You're going for that deeper octave today.
No, that's like somebody being kind. A bit gravelly this morning. My goodness, this is ridiculous. And I apologize to everybody in advance. 64 degrees right now over 7th and Range Line in Joplin. I tell you what, you walk outside right now, it's not bad at all, especially when you get into Southwest Missouri. We've got, we're talking 62 in Neosho, 64 in Lamar. This is a far cry from where we were last week, when we had to roll mid-70s and we knew it was going to just be a scorcher of a day when you walked outside. Now, despite the fact that we're going to get up into the 90s later on today, humidity is not going to play a huge factor. Well, actually, heat index readings will probably be about 94, 95, and that's why we avoid any of the watches or warnings that would be associated with the heat. As we look at the contiguous 48, there's the old heat dome. You can just trace the jet stream of it, and there it is, right over us, of course, a little bit to the east. One thing that I've been wanting to point out here, they talk about the heat dome's going to affect the east of the Mississippi here. Well, it's not so much that little column moves, it's that it expands. And so that's why when we get to our 7-day forecast, the 90s aren't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, it gets hotter as we go along this week. You have to remember, Tanya, when we started this off last week, and then you and I got to about the middle of the week and heat index readings were easily triple digits and whatnot. We were warning everybody that this week, starting today, is going to be hotter, average high-wise, than last week. We take right out of the chute here, 91 today. You go, that's not too bad, but then look at the rest of the week, up until 97 and 98 for Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, not going to be too pleasant.
I figured that we averaged out around 94 last week. We'll average out probably around 96, 97.
I like Sunday's temperature though. We'll take
massive front moving in. We'll get to that later in the week. I need everybody to be safe right now and stay on your toes with heat. You're right, and I'm not playing glass half empty when I say this. I just don't want everybody letting their guard down, especially on Friday and Saturday.
There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, starting this week, drivers in Neosho should watch for contractor crews making sidewalk improvements and working close to traffic along Route HH. Improvements include making sidewalks, curb ramps, and pedestrian areas conform to Americans with Disabilities Act requirements along Route HH between South Street and Chartel Road. Missouri Governor Mike Parson signs legislation giving college coaches and university employees in Missouri a more active role in endorsement opportunities for their athletes. Under the new law, university employees may identify or otherwise assist with opportunities for a student athlete to earn compensation from a third party for the use of the student athlete's name, image, and likeness rights or athletic reputation. The new law goes into effect August 28th. Sarcoxie, Missouri Police Department is asking for help finding the people who stole these tractor implements. Authorities say the items, worth more than $35,000, were found this weekend on some abandoned railroad tracks between County Road 67 and North Moist Street in Reeds, Missouri. Police believe the thieves were using them to clear a path down the tracks for easier access. Kansas governor and lieutenant governor were in Montgomery County on Friday for a groundbreaking ceremony that could be a big boost for the area economy. That ceremony marked the beginning of work on a new $375 million soybean crushing facility. Bartlett Agri Enterprises will operate the facility located near Cherryville. Also in Montgomery County, Governor Kelly took a tour of a brewery and attended the grand opening of the Office of Rural Prosperity and Independence. Miami Pride Fest kicks off at Riverview Park over the weekend with 50 vendors, live music, food trucks, and bounce houses. The grand marshal of the event was this year's 2022 Miss Gay Oklahoma America. She led the march around the park to symbolize unity and support.
It's the perfect time for us to really just celebrate who we are, and especially being boxed in such a small town, it gives everybody an opportunity to do what they love and be who they love to be.
If you want to learn more about the Miami NEOK Pride, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Some Joplin area people got the chance to tour a mausoleum over the weekend. Historic Murfreesburg Preservation partnered with the Webb City Historic Preservation Commission to provide the tours. Visitors had the opportunity to hear directly from the spirits of early 20th century Joplin and Webb City influencers. The tour also included theatrical vignettes, historical reenactors, musical entertainment, and refreshments.
I grew up in Murfreesburg, and my great-grandmother's house is over there. And so and I've been doing this since it first started. So to help people learn and understand what it means to preserve our history.
If you want to learn more about the history of Mount Hope Cemetery, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Juneteenth became a federal holiday in 2021. The Mini Hackney Community Service Center in Joplin is taking this time to not only celebrate the holiday, but educate people on it. KOAM's Jalen Banks has more.
The Mini Hackney Community Service Center has been serving the Joplin community for over 75 years. And today they're celebrating their inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. Juneteenth is a day that celebrates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. Its first celebration dates back to 1866 and became a federal holiday in 2021. The Mini Hackney Community Center is putting on a living history event where they are portraying African American historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Sloan Yates, and others.
What I'm hoping the most is that young children understand that people that look like them went on to do really amazing things in the state that we live in. A lot of times we separate ourselves from historical figures and think, oh, I can't do that, they're so big. They started out just like you and I.
The group hopes that the next generation can learn from today and pass what they have learned on to each other.
So we're really hoping that this is the beginning of learning more about Juneteenth. And so we're doing, as you can see, they're doing an art project, painting the Juneteenth flag. We talked about the symbolism that goes along with that flag. So just to take some things from today and be able to share and move forward and hopefully build memories.
In Joplin, at the Mini Hackney Community Service Center, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
The official recognition of the holiday is today. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
Our temperatures right now, especially when you get into Southwest Missouri right there, we're going to throw that up as comfy on the old muggy meter, and because our humidity is not going to be as bad today as what it was last week, even though we find ourselves in that very humid category, probably only feeling between 93 and 95 later on this afternoon. Things changing here by the middle of the week as we'll be mid-90s from Tuesday to Thursday, and then lock in for Friday and Saturday. If that's the average temperatures we're throwing up in the 4 states, 97 and 98, know that we're definitely going to see some places that cruise into triple digits.
Well, this morning we are discussing either supporting or not supporting the legalization of marijuana. A woman had ordered food from a Red Robin and got an extra surprise. Some edibles slipped into her bag. She was shocked, to say at least, as it was an unwelcome surprise. The woman received something that resembled a Rice Krispie treat alongside an advertisement promoting a business selling edibles. However, it wasn't just limited to this woman. Other people, including an employee at a news station, received the same thing in their Red Robin order. This, of course, brings us to our something to talk about.
Important to point out, when the health department showed up, the county health department did an inspection. They did not find anything. Our question specifically, Tanya, is do you support the legalization of marijuana? And our incomparable director, Tim Aronston, he keeps on wanting me to drop lines from Cypress Hill. Tim said, when you do this one, say, what's the commotion? I'm not joking around. 75%, so 3/4, say yes, they do support the legalization of marijuana compared to 25% that say no. Of course, each and every morning, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now.
All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. Our GM stops by to talk about the ongoing power project here at KOAM. We'll have all the details. Plus, Colombia's elections make history. We'll tell you why they're so historical. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the Indian state of Assam has been reeling from heavy floods. According to authorities on Sunday, at least 8 people were killed over a 24-hour period. It comes as 4 million people have also been impacted by flooding in neighboring Bangladesh, where several casualties were reported over the weekend. A former gorilla and his Afro-Latina running mate are making history in Colombia as voters pick them to lead the country for the next 4 years. Gustavo Petro will become the first leftist president of the Latin American nation after capturing a slim margin with more than 50% of the vote. And Vice President-elect Francia Marquez becomes the first Afro-Colombian to hold executive power in the country. Stefano Pozaban has more from Bogotá.
History was made here in Colombia this Sunday with the election of Gustavo Petro as the first left-wing president in this country's history. The people just behind my back and in this square are Petro supporters who are celebrating this historic achievement as if they've won perhaps the World Cup. It's the first time in the history of this country that Colombia voted so decisively to the left. It's an election that opens a new chapter in the relationship between Colombia and Washington. Gustavo Petro told CNN that he intends to open a new political dialogue with Joe Biden centered around the issues of protecting the Amazon, phasing out fossil fuels, and ending the war on drugs. He also told us, however, that he intends to renegotiate a free trade agreement between Colombia and Washington, and that he wants Colombia out of NATO. It's a historic achievement not just for Colombia's left, but also for the Afro-Colombian population. Francia Marquez, Petro's vice president candidate, has become the first Afro-Colombian citizen, a person of African descent, who hold executive power in the history of this country. And a remarkable turnaround for millions. From Bogotá, this is Stefano Pozzebon, CNN.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Starting this week, drivers in Neosho should watch for contractor crews making sidewalk improvements and working close to traffic along Route HH. Improvements include making sidewalks, curb ramps, and pedestrian areas conform to Americans with Disabilities Act requirements along Route HH between South Street and Chartel Road. June is Pride Month. It's a month that recognizes the 1969 Stonewall riots fighting for LGBTQ rights in the U.S. Now it's more widely celebrated as a month to highlight the LGBTQ community. Jomo Pride isn't until September, but many Joplin bars host LGBTQ-friendly events and shows year-round. Most recently, a new Joplin bar opened last month that aims to be a safe space where anyone can go, no matter their race, gender, or sexuality. The Mini Hackney Community Service Center in Joplin is celebrating its inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. Organizers held what they called a living history event where different people portrayed historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Sloan Yates, and others. And this weekend, the Easttown Dreams District hosted the second annual Black Expo at Empire Market. The event aims to invite the community together in celebration of Juneteenth weekend, while giving African American vendors and small business owners an opportunity for exposure. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
A little bit of a more mild start on this Monday morning than what we had last week as temperatures range in the Low to mid 60s, a 70 every now and then. Still going to make it up into the 90s later on this afternoon, but no heat advisories in effect, so let's call that a winner. That'll change tomorrow through the end of the week as we are up into the mid, if not high 90s. Our start this morning is certainly not as bad as what we had last week, as we're able to throw up some low 60s, even a high 50 out there in Cassville, where it's only 57. Joplin sits at 64. It does get warmer as you move to the south and up to the north. Chanute at 72, and then let's roll 64 in Lamar, Nevada, 67 in Miami. As far as the humidity goes today, we'll kind of drop down into about the 50 percentile range. So yeah, while it's going to feel very humid, what we'll do is we'll stay out of that oppressive category, even though our weather trend is going to lift us up into the high 80s. I think we'll see more low 90s than what we do high 80s. We're going to be dry for the most part until we get to the middle of the week, and then we're going to have some pop-up isolated thunderstorm activity for Wednesday and Thursday. But the key factor for the rest of the week is look at the increase in our temperatures. Mid 90s middle of the week, high 90s at the end. Be back right after this.
Coming up, drivers of Neosho should be more cautious this week as crews start to improve sidewalks.
Oh, you don't need to be on the sidewalk at least by the middle of the week, because it's going to be too hot to even be outside. The wave continues as we've got the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And June is Pride Month, and a new Joplin bar talks about the importance of creating safe spaces for everyone.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories and much more in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
And we've been making fun of Michael and his vocal cords all morning long. On our comparable director, Tim Aronston, there keeps on sending me Cypress Hill lyrics. It's been a very confusing morning, and like nothing is like cooperating coming out of my mouth as Tim like stares me down from the control room as well. I tell you what, Tanya, to be out and about on a sidewalk, today would be the day, because after today, it is way too hot to want to be traipsing down the sidewalk in the middle of the afternoon. Now, with that being said, things are not too bad as we stand right now. Look at our temperatures. We're still holding on to some 60s, even low 60s, south of I-44, 61 in Neosho. How about 57 in Cassville? Joplin chimes in at 63, and then gradually as you work up to the north and to the west, it gets warmer, 70 in Chanute and Neodesha. And the reason that is, there's a Skywatch storm tracker. We don't even have any clouds to worry about. The reason that it gets a little bit warmer out to the west and the north is where the old heat dome, what they've been calling it, the heat dome is sitting right there. Now, this thing is going to move to the east, but when I say move to the east, it's not so much the vertical column is going to move. Think about it having eastward expansion. I think expansion is more so key than it actually shifting to the east. And so what we'll see here as we get through the week is everybody that's sitting in the 70s out there to the west right now, that'll eventually overtake southwest Missouri. Our humidity, though, today, really not too bad. We'll keep us in just the very humid category. I think our humidity drop down about 50%, keep us out of the old oppressive nature, and a combination of not only the humidity not being too bad, but our temperatures staying low 90s for the most part. Then, like we were talking about staying off the sidewalks, well, I mean, what are you going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? That's mid 90s. Let the construction crews do their work, because you're just going to see the heat, waving off of the concrete. Look at Friday and Saturday, 97 and 98. Remember, that's what we do for the 7-day forecast is we take our average highs of our communities, and that's why, you may say, well, today, well, at my house it was 94. Well, at somebody else's house it's going to be 88. It works out to about a 91. You look at Friday and Saturday, you go 97, 98. There's going to be some people throwing up 101s and 102s.
Somebody's really hurting. Yeah.
Right.
And that's just the actual temperature, not what it feels
like. That is the
on
actual
top of
temperature, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
That is not the heat index. That is the actual daily high that we're looking at right there.
Ouch. And then Sunday. We'll look ahead to that.
I'll tell you what, if you do go to one of those places and they're working on the sidewalks, grab a bottle of water, drop it off to those workers.
Well, you keep bringing up sidewalks. Let's get to that story.
That's what I was trying to do there.
Yeah. Right from the start. Starting this week, drivers in Neosho should watch for contractor crews making sidewalk improvements and working close to traffic along Route HH. Improvements include making sidewalks, curb ramps, and pedestrian areas conform to Americans with Disabilities Act requirements along Route HH between South Street and Chartel Road. The Sarcoxie, Missouri Police Department is asking for help finding the people who stole these tractor implements. Authorities say the items worth more than $35,000 were found this weekend on some abandoned railroad tracks between County Road 67 and North Moist Street in Reeds, Missouri. Police believe the thieves were using them to clear a path down the tracks for easier access. Missouri Governor Mike Parson signs legislation giving college coaches and university employees in Missouri a more active role in endorsement opportunities for their athletes. Under the new law, university employees may identify or otherwise assist with opportunities for student athlete to earn compensation from a third party for the use of the student athlete's name, image, and likeness rights or athletic reputation. The new law goes into effect August 28th. June is Pride Month. It's a month that recognizes the 1969 Stonewall riots fighting for LGBTQ rights in the U.S. And now it's more widely celebrated as a month to highlight the LGBTQ community. Jomo Pride is not until September, but many Joplin bars host LGBTQ-friendly events and shows year-round. Most recently, a new Joplin bar opened last month that aims to be a safe space where anyone can go, no matter their race, gender, or sexuality.
Anybody who feels different, transgender, gay, straight, mixed blood American, immigrant, we all feel odd. It doesn't matter. We're full on accepting. I mean, I will hug anybody.
Later in the show, we'll hear from other LGBTQ plus friendly bars on the importance of having a space for everyone in the community. Miami Pride Fest kicked off at Riverview Park over the weekend with 50 vendors, live music, food trucks, and bounce houses. The grand marshal of the event was this year's 2022 Miss Gay Oklahoma America. She led the march around the park to symbolize unity and support.
It's the perfect time for us to really just celebrate who we are, and especially being boxed in such a small town, it gives everybody an opportunity to do what they love and be who they love to be.
If you want to learn more about the Miami NEOK Pride, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A big honor for Joplin's senior community, one that calls for a party. U.S. News and World Report ranks Wildwood a top 25 senior community. Wildwood celebrated by inviting the community for a barbecue. People could also enjoy some music.
We have I believe that because we have just great residents, we have great staff, we have great family members, and we have the support of the Joplin community. So we are very blessed to have just all of those factors working in our favor.
Wildwood offers independent living, assisted living, and memory care. Schiffer-Decker Golf Course partners with an Emancipation Celebration Committee for the 5th annual charity golf tournament. Teams of 4 teed off to raise money for the Park Days celebration that's held in August. There was food, prizes, and drawings throughout the day. Also, one lucky winner had the chance to hit the $1 million hole in one.
The main goal is, like I said, just to put on this tournament and support our Park Day event in the 4th of August coming up here this summer.
The drawing for the $1 million hole in one shot gave someone the opportunity to get a shot for 20-year annuity for $40,000 a year for $1 million. Today, back in 1900, the Boxer Rebellion begins in China. In response to widespread foreign encroachment upon China's national affairs, Chinese nationalists launched the so-called Boxer Rebellion in Peking, calling themselves the Righteous and Harmonious Fist. The nationalists occupied Peking, killed several Westerners, including German Ambassador Baron von Kettler, and besieged the foreign legations in the diplomatic quarter of the city. It ended in September of 1901 when the Peking Protocol was signed. By terms of the agreement, the foreign nations received extremely favorable commercial treaties with China. Foreign troops were permanently stationed in Peking, and China was forced to pay $333 million as its penalty for rebellion, making it effectively a subject nation.
And there you have it.
Future track for today with temperatures right now in the low 60s to even some low 70s. We're kind of spread out. We're going to stay dry for today into most of tomorrow. It'll be middle of the week as our temperatures get up into the mid 90s that we get some random thunderstorm isolated activity that works in from the southwest. Not looking at anything widespread so far. And like I said, the majority of the 4 states will remain on the dry side, but nobody's escaping this heat as we're going to roll the mid 90s from Tuesday through Thursday, and then we're going to roll the high 90s on Friday and Saturday.
And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Annie Listen B, a local author, is stopping by the studio to tell us about her debut teen novel. Plus, a concert in D.C. celebrates Juneteenth. It turns deadly as a shooting occurs at it. And reading someone's face, that's difficult when we're all wearing masks, right? But researchers in Japan have a solution. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, 4 people shot, including a police officer, after an incident near a concert in Washington, D.C. Sunday evening. One of the victims, a 15-year-old boy, is dead. Shooting happened in the same area where police said a large disturbance broke out earlier in the evening. A concert was taking place nearby to celebrate the Juneteenth holiday. 2 volunteers from Alabama fighting for Ukraine are now being held in Donetsk. Alexander John Robert Druki and Andy Tai Nyuk were captured last week. They are reportedly being detained by Russian-backed separatists. The Americans were interviewed by Russia's RT channel at a detention center. In another video posted on YouTube, Druki said he had been beaten while being detained. Last week, the U.S. State Department said it was closely monitoring the situation. The Donetsk People's Republic did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the detention of both Druki and Hyun. 2 sheriff's deputies in Florida have been disciplined for sharing information about comedian Bob Saget's death, and doing so with the public before his family was notified. An internal investigation was done by the Sheriff's Department, both deputies admitting they improperly shared the information, which is a violation of department policy. The exact nature of the disciplinary action was not specified. One deputy who did respond to the scene texted his brother about the star's death, and the brother posted it on Twitter. The other deputy texted 2 of his neighbors the details. Saget was on tour when he was found dead in an Orlando, Florida hotel room in January. The 65-year-old comedian and Full House star died of head trauma. That is a look at today's top national stories. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back. I'm joined this morning with a local author, Annie Listen B, here to share the books that she's been reading, talk about a book signing coming up, and some amazing life stories as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dig right into it. Your newest novel is called A 3-Letter Name. This book has an awesome romance story in it. It deals with fantasy, with like hunting animals, and it also has a part of it that is close to home for a lot of people. It deals with disabilities and overcoming those.
Well, and learning to adapt to live with them, absolutely. And those were important to me. As we had spoken earlier, I went to an elementary school in Springfield, Missouri that was integrated with deaf and hard of hearing children. So that's who I played Foursquare with on the playground at recess. And I learned some sign language that way and really learned to love the whole deaf community. And so that is one of the disabilities one character is dealing with. She became ill and becomes hard of hearing, and that totally changes her trajectory in life. The other one is the other part of the love interest. He walks with a crutch after a severe foot injury, and that was inspired by my own clumsiness and falling and breaking my leg. And I have a nice metal plate down there now, and I had to walk on crutches for like 4 solid months.
Okay, so you've kind of briefly introduced 2 of the main characters.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of a synopsis of the story.
Well, it follows the main characters are Els and Samuel, and they live on an island where there's nothing else in the world but this island. two small villages, no technology. And there are also beasts that roam the forest at night. Els, her job was to listen for the beasts. She was up high in the trees. Well, when she becomes hard of hearing, she can no longer do that. And so she is forced to choose between marrying a stranger from the other village or literally being banished to the ocean. So she decides to marry a guy and is stuck in this place. He didn't really want her, she didn't want him, but they're together. And they get pulled closer together when the beasts start attacking during the daytime and attack people close to her.
And then she becomes to adapt.
Yes. Well, she learns to live in the world around her, and she also teaches other people how to work with her as well. There's some secondary characters that I really enjoyed writing that kind of pick at her and make fun of her, but she deals with them as well. And that's what some of my deaf friends had said, that they had experiences with people trying to communicate in certain ways, and they're like, no, don't do that. Just do these things and we can talk, we can share stories, and it's no big deal.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so you also wrote some stories for Chicken Soup for the Soul during the pandemic.
Yes.
So you haven't had a chance to have a signing for either of these, but
no.
Let's start talking about the one that's in here first.
Oh yes, in BU. This was actually even totally delayed because of the pandemic. I signed the contract and like a few weeks later, everything went on hold. The story in this, it's about women's empowerment, and I was able to share a story from whenever I had been a stunt performer in my much younger days. I had trained in stage combat, studying my master's in theater, and then went to a stunt training program. So the first part of that story is me calling my mom after I had been set on fire and telling her, she's a nurse, but telling her it went fine, I'm perfectly okay. And I did lots of other crazy things.
I told you she had some interesting stories. Yes. Okay, so there's the one in there, and then you have another one that's in Chicken Soup for the Soul, The Magic of Dogs.
Yeah, that was a special story that I was so excited to share about my grandmother. And she had lived at home until she was 99 years old, but she suffered with dementia. And she had a dog named Snoopy that she just adored. And when Snoopy passed away because of the dementia, she just couldn't understand that he was gone. And so my uncle and my dad hatched a little scheme and found out about some robotic therapy pets. They have cats and dogs. So they bought a robotic therapy Snoopy, and she loved that dog. And the only problem I mentioned in the book is that one day she called my uncle very frantic because Snoopy was very sick and he wouldn't eat anything and he wouldn't bark. And so my uncle came over and very slyly changed the batteries, and Snoopy was fine after that.
Okay. It's like, wait a minute, a robotic dog is eating?
Yeah, oh yeah, well my dad had to actually usually pull little bits of ham out of the dog's mouth every time he went and visited because she truly thought he was real. And she even left food out for him on her patio, and it disappeared every night. And my uncle put up a game camera and found out it was the neighbor cat coming over the fence.
Somebody was getting fed, for sure. All right, well, you can find all three of these books and Annie, at a book signing this weekend. Let's give the details about that.
Yes, I'll be at Always Buying Books in Joplin from 1 to 3, signing all of these books. They'll also be for sale. These three-letter name, they're my newer ones, so those are $14. The others are $10. And while you're there, get lost in the stacks. They have a lot of literary treasures in that place.
All right. Well, if you don't mind sticking around with us on our next show on KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, I would love to talk to you about what got you into reading or into writing, and a little bit more about this acting career as well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Do you mind sticking around with us?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you.
All right, we'll definitely do that. We'll be right back.
And a look at the health costs of the pandemic. Michael George with today's top health stories.
The pandemic's effects on public health are hard to measure, but a new study suggests it led to a downturn in addiction treatment. Researchers at Johns Hopkins analyzed the number of prescriptions written for a medication used to treat opioid dependence. They noted a prescription decline in 2020 among people between the ages of 18 and 29, even as overdoses were rising. A large-scale mammogram survey has revealed a wide range of outcomes detecting breast cancer among racial and ethnic groups. It was led by a team at the University of North Carolina. They said the disparity in the exam's accuracy may be due to the equipment used and the skill of the technicians operating it, but that none of the screenings fell below minimal acceptable standards. It can be difficult to read someone's expression if their face is covered. Researchers in Japan say transparent masks are the solution. In a study, volunteers compared 3 sets of photos. The first shows a person without a mask. The second shows them wearing a surgical mask. In the third, they have a clear plastic mask. The surgical mask was the only one that caused people to misidentify the subject's facial expression. Those are some of the day's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Look at the 7-day forecast. Shows your temperatures are going to be in the low 90s later on today. While we're going to describe it as hot, the humidity at least won't be too bad. Then we're going to kick into mid-90s Tuesday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday. Oh, that's when it's going to get up into the triple digits. Be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, drivers in Neosho should be more cautious this week as crews start to improve sidewalks.
Say hello to the glow cloud on a Monday morning as we begin our jaunt into the 90s. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And June is Pride Month, and a new Joplin bar talks about the importance of creating safe spaces for everyone.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:28. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
I'm just learning all these breaking news stories from you, from sidewalks to walls. It's crazy. Sidewalks will be finished, however. That's what I'm told. So that's what I've been told.
Yes, they will.
All right, live look over 7th and Rangeline, where we turn off to the north-northeast in a gorgeous shot of our Monday morning sunrise on this June the 20th. Where we sit at 63 degrees. Tanya, we forgot to make fun of me. What were we doing? We'll come back. We'll do it after the 7-day. We'll make fun of me. Joplin sits right now at 63 degrees. Our temperatures very, very mild, especially throughout southwest Missouri. 61 in Neosho, 57 right now in Cassville, and even as you work out to the west, a 70 in Chanute and 66 down to the south in Miami. Very comfortable considering what we had last week as a Skywatch storm tracker, just clean and clear as can be. You'll notice the heat wave that stretches from Texas all the way up to the Canadian border has us just on the far eastern edge of it. But this is going to have a whole lot of eastward expansion. Not so much the column itself moving, but the heat wave will just head toward the Mississippi. But with that being said, our humidity is not going to be too bad today. Even though it's going to work up around 91 degrees, probably feel just in between 93 and 95, a far cry from what we had last week. But one thing that we were reiterating last week, Tanya and I said as we headed toward last weekend, remember, this week's average highs are going to easily exceed last week. So if you thought last week was a tad bit of a scorcher, just wait from Tuesday all the way to Saturday.
I'm just looking ahead till Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be wonderful come Sunday.
And that will actually be a legitimate summer cold front. That anytime you get a 14, 15 degree drop like that, yeah, that's pretty legitimate.
Maybe these hot temperatures will help you sweat it out and get your voice
right.
back.
And so now we can make fun of Michael. And so I apologize. Number one, thank you for all of us joining us on this Juneteenth holiday. And for those of you that are able to partake in activities, I hope you get out. If you cannot, and you are working, just be safe out there in the heat. And my vocal cords have decided they're taking today off as well. And yeah, this is what I'm stuck with today.
Yep.
My kids are going to love it.
Can check one thing off the list that I had on. I needed to go to the bank this morning, but it's a holiday now, so that will not be happening.
That is so funny you say that. Perhaps somebody left a voicemail on Friday requesting a meeting with somebody who's a federal employee and expecting to see them mid-morning.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Maybe tomorrow. Yes. And we'll explain why in a few.
Well played, Michael. Well played.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, the Sarcoxie, Missouri Police Department is asking for help finding the people who stole these tractor implements. Authorities say the items worth more than $35,000 were found this weekend on some abandoned railroad tracks between County Road 67 and North Moist Street in Reeds, Missouri. Police believe the thieves were using them to clear a path down the tracks for easier access. And starting this week, drivers in Neosho should watch for contractor crews making sidewalk improvements and working close to traffic along Route HH. Improvements include making sidewalks, curb ramps, and pedestrian areas conform to Americans with Disabilities Act requirements along Route HH between South Street and Chartel Road. Kansas Governor and Lieutenant Governor were in Montgomery County on Friday for a groundbreaking ceremony that could be a boost for the area economy. That ceremony marked the beginning of work on a new $375 million soybean crushing facility. Bartlett Agri Enterprises will operate the facility located near Cherryville. Also in Montgomery County, Governor Kelly took a tour of a brewery and attended the grand opening of the Office of Rural Prosperity in Independence. Miami Pride Fest kicks off at Riverview Park over the weekend with 50 vendors, live music, food trucks, and bounce houses. The Grand Marshal of the event was this year's 2022 Miss Gay Oklahoma America. She led the march around the park to symbolize unity and support.
It's the perfect time for us to really just celebrate who we are, and especially being boxed in such a small town, it gives everybody an opportunity to do what they love and be who they love to be.
If you want to learn more about the Miami NEOK Pride, you can visit our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, June is Pride Month. It's a month that recognizes the 1969 Stonewall riots, fighting for LGBTQ rights in the U.S. Now it's more widely celebrated as a month to highlight the LGBTQ community. Locally, the Joplin area has many gay-friendly bars, and as KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with owners on the importance of having these spaces in the community.
In 1969, Pride was a protest. The Stonewall riots helped start the gay rights movement. Now, it's a time of celebration when the world's LGBTQ communities come together to express their true self while also paying respect to Stonewall.
We've got our Blackthorn, one of our Blackthorn logos we do in the rainbow colors. We have some shirts we do in the rainbow colors and stickers, and we just really try hard to make sure that everyone does feel like they belong whenever they come in here.
While bars like Blackthorn are using this month to celebrate Pride, being a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community is something they do year-round.
We try to do drag shows and all kinds of LGBTQ friendly events all year long. I think it is really important to have a safe place, and not just for the LGBTQ community, but for women, for people of color.
They aren't the only space in Joplin emphasizing themselves as a space anyone can feel comfortable going to.
We have been here forever. It's just that we're now allowed to be ourselves in general public. If two same-sex people want to hold hands, whatever they want to do and walk down the street, they should not be shamed. They should be allowed the same rights. Just love everybody.
The Locker Room is one of Joplin's newest bars. The name comes from times in the locker room in school for anyone who may have felt out of place or still does.
We all had bad experiences in high school, and whether it was growth spurts or not growth spurts, everybody was trying to catch up or felt out of place. Now come back to the locker room, and say, hey, life is just as bad as it was back then, but I can have fun and laugh about what happened back then.
Their hope, like so many other gay-friendly bars in the area, is to make anyone wanting to come in feel comfortable doing so. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Jomo Pride will not take place until this September. Mini Hackney Community Service Center is celebrating its inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. Organizers held what they called a living history event where different people portrayed historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Sloan Yates, and others.
We're really hoping that this is the beginning of learning more about Juneteenth, and so we're doing, as you can see, they're doing an art project, painting the Juneteenth flag. We talked about the symbolism that goes along with that flag. So just to take some things from today and be able to share and move forward and hopefully build memories.
Juneteenth was first celebrated in 1866 and became a federal holiday in 2021. A unique summer activity for kids and adults who are invited to an insect spectacular. It's a workshop in Chanute, Kansas, and folks are learning about collecting, storing, identifying, and pinning insects for exhibit.
Learning more about how plants and insects kind of tie together. You really can't have one without the other, and so it's good to see them out actively engaged, interested, and learning.
Field trips include pastures, meadows, ponds, and water areas. The insect spectacular continued on Saturday. Lincoln Park in Pittsburgh was a little more crowded on Friday because of a petting zoo event. The Pittsburgh Public Library hosted the event as part of its Oceans of Possibilities summer reading program. It featured animals like kangaroos, alpacas, camels, and iguanas.
Well, the children seem to like the animals, and most of what I use is, I use animals that's been used before, so they're used to it.
The event was free and open to the public. To see what other fun events are happening in the area, you can go to our website at koamnewsnow.com/events. Well, today, back in 1975, Jaws was released in theaters. The film, directed by Steven Spielberg, and it made countless viewers afraid to go into the water. The story.
You do that.
Did a great.
I got a story on that.
The story of a great white shark that terrorizes a New England resort town became an instant blockbuster and the highest grossing film in movie history. That is, until it was bested by 1977's Star Wars. Jaws was nominated for an Academy Award in the Best Picture category and took home 3 Oscar awards. 1 for Best Film Editing, 1 for Best Original Score, and 1 for Best Sound, obviously. The film, a breakthrough for Steven Spielberg, who was 27 at the time, and it spawned, of course, several sequels.
Maybe not so obviously, though. Man goes into cage, cage goes into water. Shark's in water. Our shark. We're going to need a bigger boat.
Remember they recently made a movie about a megalodon?
There's a marvelous book called The Jaws Log, and it's about the making of the movie. And you did the theme song for us. You talked about how it won an Emmy for Best Score, and really, was the coming of John Williams into Hollywood. When John Williams played the Jaws song for Spielberg, he laughed at him.
He did.
He's like, "You're kidding, right? No, you've got something else for my shark, right? That's not what I hired you for." It's iconic. He kept with it, and it worked. It's a marvelous book.
Definitely a lot scarier than that preschool baby shark song that's out nowadays.
It's called The Jaws Log, and it's all about the making of that movie and what they went through, and the marvelous tension between the cast and Robert Shaw, and the fact that they went so far as that if they didn't think bodies looked real enough, they would simply bury a crew member in the sand and have the arm hang out so it looked like an actual human arm, because it was an actual human arm. It's pretty cool, and it's iconic, and it's one of the reasons why I was scared of the ocean as a child.
It never scared me. I loved it.
You're landlocked.
Yeah, but even when we went to the ocean and stuff, it didn't scare me. Or we went to the lake or anything like that, fish, nibbling on your toes, never scared me.
I like your idea. Let's go to the ocean.
Swimming with the sharks.
I'm all about that action, boss.
There you go. All right, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the first Apple store in the country unionizes. Plus, an employee at a Red Robin gets fired because he allegedly put edibles in people's orders. This makes us want to know, do you support the legalization of marijuana? We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back. And Consumer Watch this morning, because the 19th fell on a Sunday, the nation will observe Juneteenth today. U.S. financial markets are closed, as are most schools and government agencies. Post offices will also be closed, and there will be no mail deliveries. Well, this weekend, workers at a Maryland Apple store voted to join a union. They're the tech giant's first retail employees to do so. The final vote was 65 in favor of unionizing, with 33 opposed, a nearly 2-to-1 margin. It was a busy weekend for SpaceX. The company carried out 3 successful satellite launches in 3 days. The first blastoff happened Friday at the Kennedy Space Center. The next day, a Falcon 9 rocket carried a German satellite into orbit from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California. On Sunday, another Falcon 9 took off from a Cape Canaveral with a Global Star satellite on board. 3 launches took place within 37 hours of each other. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
Thank you, Tanya. This morning on the KOAM News Now Insta poll and our KOAM News Now Facebook page, supporting the legalization or not supporting the legalization of marijuana. A woman said she ordered food from a Red Robin restaurant and was shocked, she says, as she got a little something extra with fries on the side. Woman said that she was given something that resembled a Rice Krispie treat, right? And evidently, she said it was laced with something. Now, the county health department came in and they checked it out, and they did not find anything illegal at the store, but it does bring us to our question this morning. Do you support the legalization of marijuana? Right now, 71% of you say yes, yes, you do support the legalization, compared to 31% who say no. Each and every morning, go to KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. You can also connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We're going to come back and celebrate birthdays and anniversaries, but first, off to New York. Let's check in with Nate.
I'm Nate Burleson. Coming up on CBS Mornings, a new twist in fashion. It's leather made of mushroom fibers. I'll try it. You got to coordinate. We'll show you how the opportunity to innovate is also an opportunity to fight climate change. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Ernest Stanley. Second-class firearms Stanley served in the Navy. He served during World War II and was stationed at San Diego. A native of Humboldt, Kansas, we thank you, today's 4-state hero, Ernest Stanley.
We start the birthday list off with Bo Castle, who evidently caught a catfish that's as big as him. That is not a joke. And this is I'm reporting this exclusively from the Skywatch Weather Center. Bo caught that himself. So if we, yeah, Will, if you can get that on the bottom line for me. That Bo Castle caught that fish right there at 3 years old.
He doesn't seem too happy about sitting on it.
That is not true. That is not true. Somebody told him that look right there, the dude off to his left was like, I caught one that size last year. And Bo's like, all right, you won't step to this? Let's roll.
No, here's the story. Here's the actual story. He is thoroughly enjoying sitting on there. The man with the arm there is telling him to get off of it. It's time to get off. And he doesn't want to get off.
No, because it's Bo's fish, man.
Yeah.
Good catch, Bo.
Keep on fishing.
I'm with you, dude.
All right.
And happy birthday in Chautauqua.
And a happy birthday.
That may be Papa John's arm. That may be Papa John's arm right there, because it comes with love from Papa John and Grandma Deb.
Yeah. Well, Kale Wixon is 7 strong this year. Kale's celebrating in Baxter Springs. And if Kale is celebrating, that means his twin sister Kennedy is also 7 strong. Love it, love it. Both of them in Baxter Springs.
I like the fact we got them both in ball uniforms. That's awesome. Sophia Elmore celebrating the big number 8. And this happens to be one of our extended family here, as Sophia is the granddaughter of our own Rhonda Zook. And Sophia is telling our sales department now, I'm ready for my next commercial.
That's right.
I love that.
She's a little star.
Happy birthday, Miss Sophia.
All right, and Heaven Miller celebrating a birthday over the weekend in Columbus, turning 8 years old. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful 8th birthday year.
Oh, look at this. Harlow Arnett celebrating the big number 9. Beautiful, beautiful sunny skies out there, Miss Harlow. And a happy birthday to you as she turns 9 in Pittsburgh.
That's a pretty name.
Look at that. I love the 9 on the fingers too. That's good.
Hey, it's time for B to celebrate. Braylon Barber turning 10 years old this year. He got some beach time recently in Pittsburgh. Hope you have a wonderful birthday.
He's trying to reenact that scene I was telling you about from Jaws where they buried the cast member. Braylon's got it. Yeah, he's got it down. He knows. Tiffany Hutto celebrating her 33rd birthday. What a gorgeous picture right there. And happy birthday, Miss Tiffany. She is in Columbus.
Pride. In Iola, Kansas, Clay Abbott celebrating birthday number 34 this year.
All right, in the NAC, we're going to start with Mike Evans. Hey, what's up, Mike? Mike is celebrating his 49th birthday. That's a good dude right there. And this is pretty cool. It's a busy weekend in the Evans household because Zach turns 22, and Zach happens to be Mike's nephew. So to Uncle Mike and Zach, happy birthdays to both of you.
All right. And let's see, we've got Gary Sandberg, turning 59 years old in Columbus. Was born on Father's Day. And pictured there with his grandson, Luke.
Very nice. Florence Sparks is turning 93. Miss Florence, a very happy birthday to you and a beautiful picture. And Florence, I want you to know, birthday wishes coming with love from the kids, the grandkids, and of course your great-grandkids as well. Miss Florence is in Lockwood.
All right, and celebrating their first anniversary this year, Dylan and Lindsay Meisner. Happy anniversary. Cool picture there.
Oh, Lindsay's got to be loving life right now with the way Oklahoma's playing at the College World Series. She's probably on cloud nine. Jason and Nina Yankel, they are celebrating their 28th university. Congratulations to Jason and Nina. They celebrate in Fort Scott.
Aww. And Phil and Susan Thompson are celebrating their 40th anniversary. They're in Walker, Missouri. Congratulations to the Thompsons.
And we've got a 42nd anniversary in Lamar, and we're going to turn back the clock 42 years ago to the wedding picture of Brad and Rhonda Overstreet. What a marvelous picture that is right there. What a beautiful dress Rhonda has. Well, Brad had to turn down the aisle when Rhonda was walking down and be like, wow, that's a great picture right there. Congratulations to the Overstreets in Lamar.
I'm just noticing Brad's awesome hair. He's got some locks going there.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. All right, in Columbus, Scott Sullivan, happy birthday to you. Christy Murdoch turning double nickels today in Parsons. And Kathy Layson celebrating a birthday in Columbus.
You're my Wonderwall, number 12. Oasis Wade, a very happy birthday to you in Columbus. Sally Umpenauer celebrating a birthday in Riverton. And our good friend Kenny Krumsick. Kenny, a happy birthday to you. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Mild morning start, but remember, it's still going to be hot this afternoon as we'll get into the low 90s. Humidity won't pose much of a problem. It'll feel in between about 93 and 95. And then, I tell you what, from Tuesday all the way to Saturday, this is where we've been talking about this scorcher of a week, mid to high 90s before the cold front hits us Saturday night into Sunday.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making half sour dill pickles in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Morning news continues on KOAM on CBS Mornings. We're going to look into the credit card industry and how it's standing in the way of a new effort to report suspicious gun purchases to law enforcement.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Annie Listenby returns to our studio to talk more about her new book and her other two books, plus the process of getting into the book writing experience.
And mysteries are being revealed via climate change. We've talked about the amount of odd things that have been washing up on the West Coast with their lack of water. Thank you, Vegas. Wraps it up for this Monday edition. Remember, be safe when you're outside. A lot of water, sunscreen, light clothing. Let's just take it lightly just because it's only going to be 91, because we might as well prepare for the rest of the week. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.